All right. Welcome, everyone. It is 4:30 p.m. Central Time. It means office hours here on the Academy. I have my Rana's radio cup filled with coffee. Andrew's here. How is life, Andrew?
Can't complain. Can't complain. Well, I can, but I won't. How are you? You got your mug with coffee. That's about as good as it gets right now.
Indeed. Let's get to this. Did you
Heck yeah.
happen to have a screen you would be interested in sharing?
I absolutely do. It's almost like somebody just got to chatting away before we got rolling.
Would never.
Mm-mm.
Maybe.
A little
All
bit.
right. Let's see if I can.
All right.
Licensing.
There we go.
You've been busy.
Oh, I just can't get enough of it. One of the things that really gets me out of bed in the morning is talking about Microsoft licensing. It's just the best. I don't even need coffee. Heavy sarcasm, if those of you didn't notice. So, first thing here, this website that I have up, many of you are probably familiar with it. Johan and I talk about it with some frequency, that's for sure. It is M365Maps.com by Aaron Dinich. And this website helps make sense of the landscape that is Microsoft 365 licensing. Fantastic website, does a really nice job of visualizing all of these different licensing suites. For example, many of you probably know that my background is primarily higher education. So a lot of what I'm dealing with is the A licensing suite. So I can go in here, I can click on A5 and see what's available in A5. Or I can go to all and I can see what's available across all of the Microsoft 365 education suites. And visualize that, and we can see what gets added as you go down across these different suites. So A1, A3, A5 as we go across. Really fantastic stuff. The reason that I bring this website up today is A, to remind you that it's available because it's a fantastic resource. B, if we go to the changelog, there was an update this month and last month, which I think we mentioned last month, but Aaron does a lot of work trying to keep this up to date as there are changes to the whatever sarcastic metaphor I can think of around Microsoft 365 licensing. So this is fantastic stuff. Bookmark this page if you're working with licensing at all in this space. So that was the first thing that I had today. Second was an announcement that I came across just before we hopped on. So I think this was announced this afternoon. But the Microsoft Entra PowerShell module is now generally available. So I have already given myself more homework over the next week. But I'm very excited to dive into this now that it's GA and see, if this is going to make life a little bit easier. The intention here is to help move us along from the Azure AD PowerShell module into this new module. And in theory, I think is supposed to be a little bit easier to use than the Microsoft Graph SDK if you don't need that entire SDK. But that remains to be seen. Like I said, that's on my list for the next week. Couple of other updates that I came across. Let's see. We had... Hold on a second. You still have me here, Johan? You got my audio?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
All right. My RDP session is not fine. I swear. We we had that weird issue last week. I've not had a single network connection issue since our live stream last week. Go figure.
Well, let me know if you want me to share a few things where you figure that one out.
Yeah, that sounds good, because this is not
All right, they're gonna steal your screen for a second, and we'll simply come back to you guys in a little bit.
Perfect. I'll do some troubleshooting.
This is not what I wanted to talk about. This is cool, but it's that was something else I was working on. Mr. Gary Block, who I happen to be able to spend some time with on a weekly basis since he recently. If I actually get the link instead of the heading for it, you'll see wonders will happen. But Gary has, good Lord, copy and paste, Andrew. I promise you, one day. He made an update to the safeguard hold database yesterday, I think. Yeah, 28. So if you guys haven't seen this, it's a great series or a bunch of PowerShell scripts together with, of course, a shiny JSON database of all the common blocks for different devices, what version of Windows they won't work on, etc. But this is something you can run on your machine, these scripts, to figure out if there is a safeguard hold preventing them from receiving an update, basically. This goes kind of hand in hand to a blog post I wrote a little while ago about the foundation for this, the upgrade experience indicators, the register keys that are being generated by the compatibility operator service or function that is called by a service or scheduled. It is. Anyhow, they generate registry values. And if you happen to have a gated block ID showing up, I don't have one on this machine, but you could have. That's when you use Gary's PowerShell scripts to figure out why that is, because that can be otherwise quite tricky to find out what it is. So thank you, Gary, for doing that. I appreciate that. What other news? Well, I had a chance to speak with chat with Mr. David Segura the other day. He seems to be working on some exciting things that I'm not yet, I think, allowed to talk about. But I did see he joined here in the chat earlier. So, yeah, good to see you, David. If you have anything to share, by all means, do it. Otherwise, we will zip up and we will wait until the official announcement kicks in.
That's right. Just start building the hype is what you're doing.
Building the hype is what we're doing here. Yes, indeed. Anyhow, did you figure out the networking thing?
Yeah, I did. I closed my browser and reopened it, and it was fine.
That's the modern version of have you turn it on and off again? Yeah, I hear you. All right.
That's right. I once heard a smart man say, keep it simple.
Keep it simple, yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to pop back over to my screen.
Yep, on it.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Sorry about that, folks. So a couple more things that came across here. Our friend Jürgen posted a blog post around reinstalling a required Win32 app using a remediation on demand. Pretty excited to give this a try. If I recall correctly, Johan, one of the most popular blog posts of the last couple of years on the deployment research blog has been around reinstalling or retrying Win32 apps, correct?
Yes, sir. Indeed.
So we've got another tool here at our disposal. So very exciting stuff. I love how there's something about Jürgen's blog post that he finds this this niche problem, maybe not niche, but this very specific problem, and somehow is one of the only people that gets a blog post out there about it. It's great stuff. All right. Three more quick things. Oliver Kieselbach's SyncML Viewer tool, a fantastic tool if you've not used it. It sort of helps decode the messaging happening between Intune and a Windows operating system. He released a new version that includes decoding the Autopilot hardware hash, which actually has quite a bit of useful information. You can see here in his screenshot some of the stuff that you can see in the hardware hash, OS type and processor type. All of these things go into making a unique identifier for a specific device. Very useful update here.
I usually just decode it in my head, but it's nice to have a tool for it.
Yeah, well, you got to stay humble.
Heck no, yeah.
There's another update to this week's full of updates. There was another update to the OpenIntuneBaseline, which seems to be gaining quite a bit of popularity, which is fantastic. So James Robinson and some other community members put this together. Basically is a starting point for getting some various security baselines and configuration baselines in Intune, getting them going where they have already created a lot of these configurations for you. You can import them into Intune and then assign them to your devices. So you can see a couple of different updates that they added here, some default file association policies, some new endpoint security policies, and some changes as well. OpenIntuneBaseline, I know, Johan, you've also been talking quite a bit about the naming convention that they've been using in there recently. Is fantastic stuff. Nice way of identifying things. And I think last but not least, I have to call this out. I learned many years ago that you have a certain fondness for Zoomit.
Pretty much, yeah.
And it's fantastic, by the way. What a great tool. I was excited to see that the latest version of PowerToys actually has Zoomit included in it. That's new. That's shiny. Helping bring Zoomit, I don't know about to the masses, but I'm going to go with that.
Larger audience. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So yeah, that was kind of the stuff that I had for this week. A lot of nice updates to some common tools.
Yeah. So some comments showing up in the chat here, especially one from David that I wanted to actually highlight just to put the pressure on here a little bit. Next week, he says. So we'll see. We'll tune back next week and see if we have an update. If not, we'll stick to it. So, all right.
Sounds like I've got my additional homework of actually catching up on that thread today. So, David, I will do that.
Sounds good. All right. I had a few other things I wanted to share if you were done with your part there, Andrew.
Yes.
All right. So first of all, for those of you that missed our highlights of the year that we did on January 1st, that one is of course available, and I did a rename of it also, so it will be a little bit easier to find. But long story short, in this particular session here, this is where you spent the entire office hour session summarizing everything we thought was cool from 2024. So if you didn't have a chance to join at that time, I mean, it was holidays after all, by all means, catch up on the recording. It's available there. Also, a friendly reminder, we had some really good interest for this one here. An upcoming mini course. These are our free community courses. Price is just right, but Andrew and I will discuss how to deal with the fact that the MDT integration with ConfigMgr has been announced, deprecated, and will, according to Microsoft, the first ConfigMgr version after October 10, 2025, you should not be using it. The announcement basically says you may end up with broken sequences. So, but still time. I mean, it's not October yet, but time flies pretty quickly. And if you want to get a little bit of an idea what you can do to move away from that, join us on Friday. It is Friday, right? Or was it Thursday? I have to check. Oh,
Thursday.
Thursday, yeah. Thursday, right. All right. Awesome. But that was all I had in terms of news and updates. Do we have any shiny questions?
We do. First question here is from Matt. How can we use the IntuneManagement tool from Micke Karlsson to import configurations from the OpenIntuneBaseline? And can you show that?
That I can. I have not the latest version, the one that was just updated, but I have a previous version downloaded here. So if I go to my Intune folder, that was not Intune, was it? So close. Let's see where I put that one. Yeah, so here I have downloaded the OpenIntuneBaseline from the GitHub script repository. We have showcased this a few times, but long story short, if you search for OpenIntuneBaseline, either together or in one, either together one word or separate, you will find the GitHub repo. I will put the link here as always. So I just downloaded that one as a zip file, unblocked it and extracted it. So I have it in a folder. Then after that, I launched Micke Karlsson's tool that we have showcased probably 55 times here on Office Hours.
Well deserved.
Yes, it's a great tool. So if you start that tool, you will go to whatever you wanted to import stuff into. So say that I want to import stuff that are related to settings, catalog settings. I will pick that option. I will hit import, and I will just browse to the folder, this option here, to where I have downloaded those. And then you see I get all this listing here of available configuration profiles, policies. And I can decide whether to import any assignments or replace any dependency IDs, etc. But this is an option here to simply import everything that you have downloaded to a folder, and they get added into Intune. So when you once you hit import here, wait a few minutes or half a minute, and then when you go to your Intune tenant and log in, go to devices. I usually click Windows just to shorten the list here. I'm lazy. And then configuration. This is where you will see those shortly. Coming in, and you can see they're all settings catalog policies. So fairly straightforward to get going. And if you don't have any policies today, this is just a great jumpstart kit to get something going. When we do our trainings, our Intune, either masterclass or courses, if you set up a lab environment for the first time, this is just a fantastic jumpstart to get going. So if you want to play around with stuff, it's beautiful. It's nice to be able to start with something that is well proven and tested, rather than trying to figure out everything on your own the first time.
Yeah, totally agree.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. Actually, it's so easy importing this baseline as well. That's the recommended way to import this baseline, because all of these policies have actually been exported using that tool.
I actually tried, just for the fun of it, to use the import function in here.
Yeah,
but not a good result. So use Micke Karlsson's tool when working with the OpenIntuneBaseline.
Definitely.
Yep.
All right. Matt's got another question here. How can we implement some apps like SAP that have 4 components? It's easy via ConfigMgr using the app group, but how would you do it via Intune when each component depends on the other?
The only thing that is native into Intune is dependencies. And while I don't recommend nesting too many of them, sure, it is supported to have multiple dependencies. So application 1 depending on 2, depending on 3, it's doable. I would probably, if they don't require any additional configuration in between, I will put them in a wrapper script and bundle up them together in a single app. So they will download all 4 of them, but the installation wrapper script will install them in the right order. That way I can get rid of dependencies. If you really want to go out on the edge, Mike Niehaus has a fantastic post on how to, I already signed up to his email, so I'm not going to sign up again. If you're not, I recommend signing up for it. Anyway, you can create sequences as applications also. Michael has primarily blogged about that for the purpose of running it through Autopilot, but it's just an app that holds a sequence, a standalone sequence, that will install whatever that sequence is configured to install. So multiple options. Either you leverage dependencies, that's the default action. 2, you have a wrapper script that have the capability of dealing with multiple application installations in it. Or you use a task sequence that you package up as an application and deploy as a Win32 app in Intune. So plenty of options.
Excellent. So I saw a follow-up here from Matt too. Is there any way to import without Micke Karlsson's tool? And I did remember that James had, I think, recently posted in the README for the baseline. Actually, if you want to switch over to my screen, Johan.
Yes, sir.
The answer is, thank you. The answer is kind of. So there's a section here. Ooh, somebody's not happy.
Yeah, let me see what that's about. I'll leave you to it.
Sounds good. So, Matt, the answer is kind of. As you can see here in James' note, native imports limited to the settings catalog policies that are part of the Intune baseline. So things like the compliance settings that show up here or the endpoint security settings that are part of the baseline, those aren't going to be able to use the native import. So unfortunately for any of those, you would need to use the IntuneManagement tool. Did see as well the question around free Copilot for VS Code. Fantastic announcement back in December. Let me pop this up here. All good?
Yeah, it was our neighbor that dared to drive on her driveway up to her house, and a dog spotted it. And
how could she do such a thing?
I've known her for like 3 years. It's not exactly new.
Of course. So yeah, the free GitHub Copilot announcement back in December, actually pretty great stuff. You can see that you get quite a bit with the free version. I actually have to name and shame because he popped in here, our friend Jim O'Neill. I half missed this because after MMS Flamingo, Jim said, "Why don't you have GitHub Copilot?" And I said, "Well, I mean, when you put it that way, I guess I need to try it out." And so I've had the pro version since then, which just adds a couple of other capabilities. I might even be able to move to the free version. But good call out, Matt. I don't know if you've used this at all inside VS Code yet, Johan, but it's pretty cool. I mean, being able to chat with GitHub Copilot right in VS Code and have it manipulate some code for you and everything. It's like any of these tools, it's not perfect, but it really can help take care of a few simple things, I would say. It's made my development faster of scripts,
I
that's
was
for sure.
showing this just this Monday in a session, and like how much you actually get for free in terms of decent code base out of a few prompts. And the trick is usually to continue to work with the prompt and asking it to add or remove and change things that you didn't like, or make the documentation better or change the criteria, it definitely speeds up development
Definitely.
by, I don't know how many times, but many times.
Agreed. Good call out, Matt. Thanks for that.
I have actually something on the topic that I stumbled across earlier.
Yeah.
So let me steal the screen for a second.
Sounds good.
Most of you probably know that if you have a script open, whatever that script might be, if I, for example, go up to our hydration kits here that we've been using, I go to one of the scripts. If you either changes .com to .dev, that's one option, or simply press the dot key on the keyboard, it changes the UI to be an editor. So this is VS Code inside of the editor. So that's really cool. You can continue to edit the scripts directly in here. But what I stumbled across this morning, and unfortunately it has a limit to it, but if you change .com to GG, usually for good game if you're playing StarCraft, but or other games for that matter, it changes it to a chatbot where you can talk, reason with your code that you have. Unfortunately, there is a limit, and a lot of people learned about it. So, of course, this 5,000 limit is showing now up every time. But I just thought that was okay. That was pretty cool. That was pretty smart. So hopefully this will be evolved. Not entirely sure which organization is behind it, but anywho, I thought it was cool.
Yeah, very. I see David added in here too. Copilot added comment-based help to this function, so that's pretty awesome. Nice way of using, hey, just write this help for me, please.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, we all love to write documentation, don't we? It's just the most favorite things in the world.
That's one thing us IT folks are so well known for is fantastic, perfect documentation that's always up to date at all times.
Yeah, that's like the signature.
Jeez, this is a heavily sarcastic live stream today. It happens. All right. We do have another not Copilot related question in here. After an Intune enrollment, is there a way to delay OneDrive from starting or syncing for a specific period of time? Unfortunately, can't use disabling the silent sign-in. That's an interesting question.
I saw a post from Jürgen at one point that he was basically preventing it from running at all because he wanted to prevent it from trying to update itself when the machine started. So basically nuking out from wherever startup script it's from or registry key is coming from. But other than that, I haven't really stumbled across anything.
I did find what I think is that post that you're referencing, but that's if it's the same post, that's removing OneDrive setup entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, do you have it up on your screen?
Yeah, I can put it up here.
All right, let me see.
So basically, here's that registry key I think you were referencing. Default user profile has a run command that runs for every user logging into the computer that kicks off that setup. So basically, with this script here, essentially delete the registry keys.
Yeah.
And so that'll prevent the setup.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this will happen to this particular question, but yeah, perhaps.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm not finding much on slowing it down. Mostly folks complaining about delayed sync rather than delaying the configuration.
Yeah, it's not something I've done.
No, sorry, I don't think I can. I haven't either, and it doesn't look like I can find anything at the moment. Um, but if anybody has, of course, please feel free to share it in the chat, and we will share it here on the stream. Got another question here. How to add devices to a group when you want let's see, when you want a specific app to target some devices, not all. Looking for a way to add devices from CSV to Intune or Entra group. So
we did showcase a script last week.
Yep.
Let's see which this one was. Oh, good Lord, memory is not what it used to be. Let's see my notes from our links that I sent out.
Yeah, that's what I was just pulling up last week's stream too. Is that the get device remediation status and add to group?
That sounds about right. That sounds familiar at least.
Let's go here and scripts and Intune and yes, this looks right.
Yeah. So obviously you will have to change the devices array to import from a CSV file instead, but the concept will be the same. So basically do an import .csv and point to the CSV file and then loop through that result. So that is easy enough. If you don't have too many devices to add, this should work just fine. If you need to add like thousands of machines, there might be some bulk operations that could be available, but this should be good enough.
Yep. I will copy that off so we can reshare it again.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions out there? Can you bring up the Virtual Summit website also, just to give a friendly reminder about that one?
Absolutely.
That's our friends over at MS Endpoint Manager. They have been doing this for 6 or 7 years now. A good while. Highly recommend. We mentioned it twice now at least on office hours, but if you happen to be living in the United States, set the clock for a very, 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 very early morning. It's worth it. So either that or don't go to bed. It's one of the two. I can't do that anymore. I could when I was 25, but now if I don't get at least a few hours of sleep, I'm a wreck for the rest of the day.
Same. Yeah, we'll be. Feels like we're going to start entering conference season here pretty quickly. I know MEM Summit will be coming up in April. We've got MMS, of course, coming up in May.
Yeah, there's another conference in Belgium now in February. I know Nihas was supposed to speak on it.
Oh, that's exciting.
So that let me see if I can find that one.
I've seen some of the WP Ninjas guys have been making their way through Australia this month, it looked like.
Oh yeah, Peter was actually flying down there from Belgium, which is like a quick 20-hour flight.
I've never heard. Yeah, again with the heavy sarcasm this week, today, I've never heard of a flight to Australia ever being a short flight from anywhere.
No. I remember when I went to TechEd back in 2013. It was on the Gold Coast, and I had to do work in Texas on my way there. So I started in Sweden, went to Denmark, went to the US, and then continued around.
Oh my gosh.
That was I was racking up some good miles that trip, I can tell you.
Oh, there you go. Mr. Niehaus joining us here in the chat. MC to MC is in Belgium next week, as is Workplace Ninja NL in the Netherlands.
That was the one. I couldn't come up with a name.
Thank you, sir.
To be around in the area, recommend joining those if there are still seats available. I do not know. But yeah, should be a good show.
And I'll drop the link right there.
Hey, there you go. Beautiful. Thank you, Michael.
Awesome. And thank you. He also sent the WP Ninjas NL. Awesome.
Perfect. Good stuff. More links to share. Even better.
There's some smart people speaking at this one.
Oh, yes. Yeah, speaking of smart people, I was in Patch My PC had an Autopilot webinar earlier today. It was a live event they did, hour and a half long. It was Morris Daly, it was Ben Whitmore, and it was Rudy Ohms giving us a deep dive on basically Autopilot troubleshooting. Fantastic session. They promised the video will come up later this week, so I hope it will. Look out for that one. Highly recommend it.
Awesome.
But that was a good session. All right. Any other questions out there or comments? Scribbling down some notes from these sessions that were shared there, so we can put them under there.
Sounds good.
All right. Got it. Still have 20 minutes to go. If you have questions, we may have answers. We're always trying, but sometimes we simply do not know. But
it's true. I am. I mean, starting to see speaker announcements come out for MMS. It's still 3 months away, but starting to get very excited for that. And it looks like if you're on the fence about joining MMS, there are still tickets available. I would not be surprised if it sells out. I would get registered.
I would be very surprised if it didn't sell out.
Yeah, yes.
So get your tickets.
Definitely. A fantastic event, to say the absolute least about it. Let's see. Jamie's asking, have you seen issues around WinRE and needing to repartition with the journal file locking the disk?
No, I have not. I've definitely seen the need for repartitioning the disk to apply updates and whatnot when the disk is or volume is too small. And we've been showcasing Martin script several times here on the Academy, but I haven't seen any that it basically fails because a journal file locking issue. See if there are any issues reported on his script there. Called WinRE customizations. No, there are a few issues that are closed. Let me share my screen. So, first of all, if you're not using this script to do those changes, I recommend doing that. If you are using this script and are running into issues, do go ahead and file them under issues so Martin have a chance to fix them. 2 open and 10 closed one at the moment, but none of them seem to be related to any journaling locks, at least not from skimming through them quickly here. So maybe that. I think that's the best I can come up with right now.
All right. Tim is asking, Autopilot related, is there a tool that checks for the required URLs, kind of like the Office connectivity tool?
Yes. Well, tool, I wouldn't say scripts. There are some scripts available. Matthias has one of them, part of the Intune debug toolkit. Those readiness scripts check for some of the endpoints that are required, but not all of them. And I actually thought it was Martin that wrote the other.
It is.
There's another.
Yep, it's a short 2,000 lines under the toolbox repo.
All right, let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, only 2,000. And then Intune.
Where?
If you go to the Intune folder there on the left.
Intune, all right. Stupid me, I went to the Autopilot folder.
And then Intune network requirements. And then, yeah, that script right there at the top, the get Intune network requirements. There is so the script will obviously check many different.
So here's the listing of all the sites. Yeah.
Yeah. So this will check many different endpoints related to things even adjacent to Intune, but there is a command line or there is a parameter to specify Autopilot.
All right. Yeah, I did try out the script a while ago.
Yeah.
I guess one of the challenges here is that some of these URLs can be different depending on what region you happen to be in or where your tenant is. But I mean, it's a good starting point to run this script to make sure everything is open and it was actually discussed in the Autopilot session today, the Patch My PC one, where basically they were asking what are the most common issues you guys are seeing with Autopilot. And there were like 50 comments right away of like, yep, firewall, proxies, SSL inspection, Zscaler was mentioned. It's just everything network related. Someone probably mentioned DNS also, but usually something blocking the device from getting access to the endpoint it needs. That's so common. And it's not just Autopilot, it's like anything enrollment related in Intune. If you even do a bulk enrollment or a manual enrollment, it's just that it's a lot of things it needs to talk to.
Yeah.
But Autopilot adds another layer to that, of course.
It's funny, actually, if you just scroll down just a couple of clicks on this page, see what the first thing is that he tests. Very important.
Yeah. I'm still on the lookout for one of the stickers from Richard Hicks. If it's always DNS, and if it's not DNS, it's certificates. That's
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
those.
we might have to pay for a stamp or something, see if we can get him to send us a couple of those. Love that.
Yeah.
All right. Switching topics here, Barry's got a question around MDT. You mentioned that MDT integration was available until October. Is that only if you have 2403? Is it correct that if you move to 2409, it will pretty much be lost from that point?
No, not quite. First of all, again, please join us on February 20, where we will dive into this and give more details on the concept. But the way they worded it in this post here is the following. Read this one carefully. Planned end of support. The first release means that the first ConfigMgr release after October 10. So that's quite likely to be a 2509, even though 09 obviously comes before October. Well, it wasn't actually September when they released 2409, was it? It was December when they released it. So I expected it to be 2509, but technically, sure, it could be the 2603, whatever version that is, after the fact. But the time to start planning is now. Some organizations, I worked with a customer up in Canada just before Christmas. It was so simple. They were using the gather step and they had a database connection. A few hours and you have a PowerShell script that does the same. That was all they were using it for. Done deal. Some folks are using copy logs feature. There are a PowerShell script that does the same. So it's one of those lovely, it depends. But yeah, if you're interested in learning more, do join us on February 20. We will dive into this a little more deeper, spend an hour and a half on it. So yeah, anywho.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
Slightly off topic, but I did see a little bit of chatter over the last week referencing a ConfigMgr CVE that was patched 2-3 months ago.
I know what you mean. Yeah. I actually wrote about that in our newsletter that went out this morning for those of you that are subscribing to that one. But let me see if I can find that link. So first of all, the newsletter in question, I think we have it here somewhere. Yeah. If you sign up to this one, we send out an email every month with what happened that month. But in this particular case, it was this one here. So the CVE was released, as you can see here, on October 8th. But the real details wasn't revealed until, well, basically a few days ago. But long story short, there are updates available for the different ConfigMgr versions. And the reason it became actual or the buzz or the noise started to come up is because someone was great enough to create a proof of concept code for it and release that code. So if you haven't updated, patching is good.
Absolutely. Jamie had a follow-up comment here on MDT integration. I think you talked about this a while back, Johan. You need to hack the XML for HTTPS for MDT not to crash and MDT doesn't install into a fresh server with 2409, is what he was hearing.
I thought that was already with 2403.
The XML thing, that sounds right. Because I think you wrote a blog post around it.
Yeah, someone did.
Let's see if I can find it.
It might not have been me, actually.
Well, I think somebody found the fix and you... Here we go. Ahmed at Dell.
Do you have it on the screen?
I do.
Oh, yeah, it was 2403.
Yeah.
But yes, should that happen, there is an easy solution for it. But long story short, the MDT integration is going away. And it's not supported anymore. Microsoft claims it can corrupt sequences if you continue to use it. I don't personally see how that could happen, but that's what they are writing. And since they are writing the code, they kind of should know. That's my take on it, at least.
Indeed.
But yeah, thank you, Jamie. Good comment.
Well, we've got a whole list of fantastic links to share this evening.
Oh, yes. That's what we like. I don't see any other questions or comments. Hope we didn't miss anyone.
I am not seeing anything either. I do see from Matt, looks like a see you in MMS.
Ah, fantastic.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I probably owe him a beer or two, so that sounds about right.
See you and me both.
All right, then. See if I can get to that screen real quick. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Last, as always, thank you, Andrew, for being here, and we hope to see you again next week, office hours. Have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great one.